So Greg asked, how is short run marginal cost related to diminishing marginal returns? And let's see, was that, I guess that was question 2 also, but it kind of relates to question 1 maybe, because question 1 looks like production data, and then part D says that 8 workers is the short run marginal cost rising or falling, and how do you know? And so you might be like, well, if we got production data here, and in part D you're asking about costs, and then here in question 2 I have cost information, and then also in part D you're asking about a production question, because increasing returns, diminishing returns, those are production questions. So you're like, how do I get that? Well, that all goes back to the slide that we talked about last week, chapter 8. Slide, yeah. It's these slides again. The relationship between short run costs and production, and this stuff, and this stuff. So you have a sense that if you know what's happening to one of them, if you know what's happening to marginal product, you can make some inferences about what's happening to marginal cost. If you know what's happening to marginal cost, you can make some inferences about what's happening to marginal product. So again, here in question 1, if you've done everything correctly, which I guess is a big if, then once you get to part C, you should have a sense of what's happening to the marginal product side of things, because you had to figure out what the marginal product equation is, or what its picture is doing. And so once you know what's happening with the marginal product, then you should be able to refer back to that slide 820-ish and say, well, I know that production and costs are related, marginal production and marginal costs are related, and so if I can describe what's happening to the marginal product side of things in part C, then I should be able to talk about what's happening to marginal costs here in part D, and then vice versa for question 2. If I know what's happening to the marginal costs in part C, because I've got my equations for it that I did in part B, and, well, I know the equations and the graph that I did in part B. So if I know what's happening to the marginal cost side of things, then because of slide 822, if I know what's happening to marginal cost, then I know what's happening to the production side too. So you should be able to answer questions about increasing returns, decreasing returns. It's nice though, because again, people tend to compartmentalize these concepts and think that, well, I'm just going to think about production today. I'm just going to think about costs in this question. Well, they're related though.